Good afternoon. This is Jennifer Claudette Barrera. Today, the network intercedes Jennifer Barrera, therapies, stories, videos, cine, and much more development. I will be putting many stories, agglomeration of stories come together so people can actually sense how sometimes they interconnect, and how specific annoying aptitude or moments in a person's life can bother them, that it cross fill them altogether and doesn't make it the best outcome that they want. So I did write a specific story in one of the videos, but it wasn't written well. It was just an idea, almost like notes of a story that is not in the best way developed, but it is meant to give a better insight on humans. So here it goes. Imagine people from Montreal, Saint Anne, Pointe Claire. So these are all people from Montreal. Then imagine somebody from Inglewood, or imagine somebody from Oklahoma. Obviously, Inglewood is different from Oklahoma, and Oklahoma is different from Saint Anne de Bellevue, or any place they can put. So imagine in a small area, there's people that don't. There's maybe this girl who always remember that she didn't have a proper boyfriend that helped her when she was young, and she grows up with this. She doesn't trust men, right? Whomever would approach her, she doesn't trust any of them. And then you have the opposite, a girl who's actually always very much trustworthy of others and trusts men and women very much easily. And then it annoys, or it gives a nuisance to somebody else. It doesn't to herself because she's confident or she feels well in that case scenario, but in her life, actually not case scenario, but in her life. And then for somebody else, it does, right? It is, for some people, it reassures them if you put somebody and you put them in one place, right? So we have and then we have somebody else who actually goes to a place, and it's the kind of person that harasses people by doing something. So let's say they see something, they want to rip it, or they see something that they want, they take it. Or if they don't get something, they go in front of them and say, I take it and it's mine, and you can do nothing about it, right? And then imagine somebody else that they got this political view. And what they do is say that Canada shouldn't be, right? Canada shouldn't exist, or a specific country shouldn't exist. And then obviously if you're doing a comedy, it's funny. But if it's a true economy, or if it's a true platform where you're setting a country, then it seems a bit delusional, right? Somebody who would want, and then if you go into economy, then you can understand other people. You can understand many specific opinions. And then somebody would say, if you check the inside of some people that have done research, or some people that are scholars, or just a person who has much knowledge, or just any professional who wants to give their own insight and perspective. And some people go very much into good quality of information, right? They have this good amount of access in their own being and what they've gained, and they offer it to you, right? And from complicated matters, they make it simple. So the simplest way of explaining, so many among groups can understand, right? So imagine all these people, they have this sense of, they have their own response. If you go to a court and you have to actually present a case, the judge won't be helping you in your mind, right? Some lawyers do, some don't, actually. If you go to in front of the judge, obviously what he does, it's his work. So anything that you say in a funny, if you say, listen, bitch, get out of my way. Let's say you're angry at somebody. A lot of people wouldn't do that. It is discouraged in court to say bad words. Obviously, if you're with your lawyer and you're stating upon words, and I believe, if you get in the heat of the emotion, then that's fine, right? Some lawyers discourage, some they really get you ready. It really depends upon that. But usually you have this case where I want people to understand that a mind can be triggered. So instead of feeling unwell and in incapacity of their own being, and some people, that's what they do, right? For me, what I've often said is one of my concerns is I'm being paid, that I enjoy my money, and also that I have my life. So specific things that I don't like, I've really stated upon, and then I move forward. So that's my example. But if you take other examples and you go to court and you make them, people are not going to be there concerned about your mind. They're not going to be concerned there about how you feel, or, what exercise are you using, if you're stating the truth. A judge wants you to say the truth. What matters is the evidence. What matters is the proof. What matters is that the case is resolved. And every nuisance of every human being that they've come across, let's say all these agglomeration of stories, that they're all settled, right? They're all settled in a way that it makes the person be capable to sustain themselves, not only in their own economy, but in their own worth and being, in their own emotional well-being, in their own development of themselves in society. And in society, it can be you work in your work. It can be in doing what you do. Right? There's many different definition of what people do in their living. So upon that, what I want is people that, if there's many information that go back and forth, it goes into cross-examination, right? And then that's where, lawyers and judges will take the decision based on what is the evidence that proves if a person is in the right or not. Right? So they put a person and then they say it's their fault. But if a person didn't do anything wrong and express an emotion, or express, let's say I say, oh, I wish you died. Let's say in my case, I go and I'm angry at a person. If it's a movie, it's a movie. If they're acting, we want to hear that passion in the monologue. But then we're kind of like, in real life, what we want is a person that can state the truth, but then it has to be evidence. You can't just go around and, admit other people's right. So if people do wrong, it is wrong. So upon that, whenever you go and present that to the court, they have to make the case. They make you win or not. And there's different cases in a court. So what I want people to understand is that their own mind becomes their own tool. Right? It becomes a tool that they use. They become a tool for their own well-being. And it is often said and done. And it is easier for people. It's always easier, to be surrounded with people that have good emotional balance, that have good, if they're actors or actors. I often refer to actors because there's been people that are actors that can do therapy and truly work on specific ideas from that. But then there's other areas in fields that are also people that like that. So upon that, you want people to understand that, imagine the same case arises, and there's another story where a person omitted many laws, and they're not born in the country. If you're not born in a country and then within laws that impose themselves and then they go against you, a person can face deportation, right? Everybody knows that if you enter a country, or if you just know laws, or if you study in law, if that is what you do in life. So upon that, imagine how it can become instead of being beautiful stories, instead of having people that took good decisions, they took wrong decisions, right? They did not take the right turn or the right moment, and then you can't put a person in a pitfall, but it's not a nice outcome. And what we want is every nuisance of story and every nuisance of their mind to be settled. So you have to find a way, and one of the best ways is a tool that it gives them the strength that they understand what they do, understand that evidence matters. It's almost like being in court. And also it matters that if they have a good sense of their own worth, of their own work, that it goes on in that, right? So it's not a pitfall that I'm relying on people, but that can be a result, right? It's not a pitfall that I'm stating, but we want people to take the right direction in this. So the court is the best, and then the best example I can give. And then imagine if you do state that, and there's people that believe in God, and then they all use these metaphors. If you use angels and then you use the wrong, I believe that's up to God, right? If there's humans that are like God, you kind of let them do their own decisions. Because I believe in how we understand it's that good is good, bad is bad. But we're humans, right? So whenever we're talking about religion, it takes a different dimension that has to be well exposed and well explained. And a lot of people, they have that in themselves, which is very good. If they're not acting, then that's very good. If they're actors, it's very different. Because as actors, the more range you have in characters, the more you can be different from your own self, the best it is. But in this, it really takes the emblematic that every human being has the good and then the bad, but also in the course, it is evidence, it is matters that do develop, and the best of intention of a human being, and that's what we want. So upon that, I wish that people can really see that as a good tool for themselves. So if ever you have a problem, ever you have a conflict de nuisances, people don't like to say address, or I've heard that, but I say settle. So settle that and make it your own good. Enjoy what you do, and find the proper tools, and people have those tools. If they don't come along, they must, and then there's other people out there, and then make it your own well-being. So I do encourage that. Therapies are therapies, and stories are stories meant to promote all that well-being. We don't want somebody, hitting yourself. That can happen in court. You want to check in the heat of the emotion somebody because, they did. But we want to make sure that in specific moments, that isn't the moment. So upon that, wishing this is all good for you, and wishing you have a good day, and wishing you love what you do. Thank you and have a good day. Bye-bye.